Hello, beloved. This is Reverend Amani Malaika here from the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. And I am so glad you are here at this video at this time or listening to this podcast at this time. I wanted to hop on because Reverend Raymont and I recorded these messages ahead of time. And I just wanted to make sure you know that you get to go deeper and you get to be supported in spiritual community. You do not have to be audacious and bold alone. So I want to invite you to join us if you are in the Albuquerque area on Sunday afternoons at 4 p.m. for our in-person gatherings. You can learn more at our website, abqcsl.org. And if you are participating online, you also get to be supported. We have some online small groups and ways that you can receive prayer and affirmations and all the things directly to your phone. So again, learn more at abqcsl.org. May you be so alive in your divine, holy, amazing nature that is unique, that is perfect, that you get to boldly and audaciously move in your life as the incredible being that you are. This, my friends, is what changes the world. I love you so much. Enjoy. All right. So, continuing this idea of rest, what must be absolutely shut down? What must be stopped? What in its tracks, right? To be arrested. I love this idea, which also goes with this quote that I did find in the outline, which is from Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind text. Someday we shall learn to lay our burdens on the altar of love, that they may be consumed by the fire of faith in the living spirit. So I feel like this idea of what must stop so that you can courageously rest and care for your whole holy self, right? Audaciously care for the truth of who you are and prioritize that divinity. Also requires, like you said, it requires the arresting of maybe false thought, the arresting of bad behavior, the arresting of habits that don't serve. And how do we arrest? How do we stop what needs to be stopped?
Right.
And for me, part of that is like being honest about lay your burdens down, but you got to admit you are burdened. Right. You have to admit to yourself at the very minimum that some shit is not working.
Right. And, you know, if we talk about just in general, the concept of the legal system, the person that's getting arrested, and I'm not talking about the systemic thing because that's a whole different conversation there. I'm just saying in general, the concept of the person that's getting arrested has been engaging in behavior that is against the law. So we have this concept of the law, life-affirming faith, our divinity. What are we engaging in that is counter to the law, to principle, to universal truths, etc.? If I am addicted to worry, lack, scarcity, self-abuse, in whatever form, if I am addicted to that and that's what I'm doing, then I am, quote unquote, breaking the law. I am being bound by precedent, not freed by principle, etc. So I have to be able to identify the behavior that is counter to, and then arrest it, stop it, put whatever into place to reduce the likelihood that it will reoccur in order to now be fired up about all that, this idea, which you mentioned about, you know, this life-affirming faith and spirit, in order to be fired up, in order to be like on fire with, in order to be, and even with the concept of, you know, with pottery, you fire up the kiln in order to make the clay solid and a usable vessel. How are we firing up and becoming solid in this faith and solid as the incarnation of spirit and solid as X, Y, and Z. But I've got to be able to identify, which means I've got to have a boldness to name a thing, to
And
be honest with. Go ahead.
And trust that if I stop this thing, this habit, this addiction, this way of being that has been serving me in some way, even if it's against the law, right? Even if it is not treating myself well, right? Maybe I have been overly busy, huge one for me, right? I overcommit myself. I over-yes myself on a regular basis, right? I know this about myself. This is a burden I take to God on a regular basis, and then I'm like, I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna go get busy again.
Right.
Right. So how do I begin to trust that if I lay this burden down, if I arrest this behavior, if I stop thinking this thought, am I gonna be okay? Like for real, is God really gonna hold me in that?
Right.
Is the law really gonna like come through? Like, you sure, Raymont?
Right.
Put this burden down. If I give up this old way of thinking and being, if I let go of the hustle and the grind, who's paying my bills?
Right. and one thing that comes up for me is if we had the kind of life-affirming faith in spiritual principles and laws the same way we do for laws of gravity, etc. There is never a time when I, stand on the roof and wonder if I decide not to use the ladder. I wonder if, like, I know what gravity is going to do. But here we are when it comes to spiritual principles and all of this other stuff, and we question, well, if I do this, if I let this go, if I surrender this, if I burn this up, if I leave it on the altar, will this? And it goes back to what you said about that trust. How do we develop the trust of the divine, of universal principles, in order to have, even if it's not a knowing, have more of a willingness.
Right. To step out on faith.
Yep.
Like I have to talk to myself like, I am tired and I really feel like I probably should lay down. Like that's really what my body's trying to tell me. Can I trust? Can I trust that is going to be okay? Like the sky is not going to fall if I take a nap today.
Right.
The earth will continue to turn. The babies will get fed. Somebody gonna figure out dinner if I take a nap.
Right.
Because that's what faith is asking of us. If I change my behavior, if I change my way of being, if I let go of the over busy and the overdoing and the taking too much responsibility for other people's well-being, I'm really going to let go of this inherited bullshit behavior, right? Like I have to be willing to at least consider that there is a greater good on the other side of that choice.
Right.
That is a faith practice.
Right.
Because I think we like to think of faith as like, let me pray on that. We say that all the time. Let me take that into prayer. And I'm going to go pray about, I'm going to pray about being more rested. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue to be overly busy and overly committed and over-yesing myself and taking too much responsibility. Right? That is not a faith practice.
No, not at all.
It surely isn't audacious.
Yeah. Or, and this may be a little controversial. It's a faith practice, but it's a non-life affirming faith practice, because what I'm putting my faith in, because I'm using the same energy. Like I often think of, we don't have faith, faith has us.
Mm.
The universe trusts itself because it knows. So, and if we're in it, then we're already in the energy of trust and faith and etc. And it's what we are. So the question is, I have a hope, I have an expectation. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Okay, I'm hoping what? That the boogeyman, because I know it's in that closet. I have an expectation that there's something waiting to get me. Then I'm using faith in that, right? Like
Yes.
years ago when I was in fundamental Christianity, we used to say that worry is praying to the devil. Like
Mm.
you're using the same energy. So what are
Right.
you directing it towards? And the funny thing about faith, since you mentioned, I'm going to take it to prayer, Amani, I'm going to pray on it. Instead of realizing, and this is how simple faith is why I said we're in it. It has us. We already have faith because neither of us flies the plane from here to here. We put our luggage here and we have faith that it will get where it needs to get. Because when it doesn't, and we've arrived and we over there for baggage claim and I don't see it. Wait, we're shocked. Why? Because we have the expectation of it being there. And we know, well, it's somewhere, because then when I don't see it and the belt has stopped, we then go to someone and say, where's my bag? So we still have the expectation that it's somewhere. And I want that wherever it is to find its way to me. So we're still operating on a system of faith that's in place.
Right. That's right.
We're not flying the plane. We're not moving the baggage. We're not giving each other peanuts. We get on, we sit down, and we surrender into the flight. Why don't we do that same thing with this new job or this relationship or whatever it is? You know what? Like you said, the sky is not going to fall down because I am taking a nap. That's not mine to do right now. I trust, I surrender, I let go. That's
But
really
the laying of the burden on the altar of love that Ernest Holmes is talking about, the arresting, the stopping, requires me, requires you, requires us to change.
Yeah.
We say we want to be transformed in the spirit. We say we want to evolve as spiritual beings. But when it comes down to it, the rubber hits the road when I am asked to change my habit. Am I habituated to having faith that it's always going to be like this?
Right.
What is my faith really in? And am I willing to change my thinking, my belief, my faith?
Yep.
Am I willing to lay down how I have always done it, how I have always expected it to go? Am I willing, you know, and for me, part of my prayer is like, am I willing to be surprised?
Right.
Because just when I think like I rest, I am someone who rests now. I have to be willing to go, ooh, you ain't even halfway there yet, honey.
Right.
Are you willing to trust God? If even you willing to trust the law, the infinite possibility in the divine, even when you might lay down for days.
Yeah. I mean, it's like putting on a theater production, though. There's a law to how, you know, how the music is arranged, how the direction happens. And with each new production, you go through the same process. And there's I trust the process. I trust the finding my character. I trust the music director and the score. And even though right now, we ain't got but 3 weeks until opening, and and there's all of it, but there's that part that says, This, let it go, because you know how to do this. You've done this before. So even when the, confusion and stuff comes up, it's coming back and saying, pause, breathe, check in. I've been here before. I know how to do this. This is my opportunity to arrest this form of thinking and this mental equivalent and this behavior, all that stuff, and then be rehabilitated into love and joy and trust and conviction of the practice. Like
Exactly.
it's got to be.
Like I have a practice that when I am really tripping, right? Like when I am really tripping, when I have a really fallen into doubt and misbelief. I do not believe this good is going to arrive. I do not think that I'm going to get through this moment. I don't think so-and-so is going to be okay. Like whatever the doubt is going to be, part of my practice is to come back to the evidence that I already have.
Right.
I have always been held. I have never not been held. Even when I am face down in the dirt's holding me. I have always been held. Here I am, breath in my body, regardless of some really, really silly choices along the way. So I have evidence that no matter how unsure I have been, or how off track I have gotten, how far away from faith and good and love I have been, I have always been held by the divine. I have always come back to a greater good, a greater truth. Right. So I think that's what you're talking about. I think that's the fire of spirit. That's the fire of conviction. Right. It's like, how do I return when it looks like everything is falling apart?
Right. And that's what I was going to say. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. What did you just say? The evidence of things that I may not be able to see in the moment, but nonetheless, the evidence says it's there. Just like crime scene investigators. With their naked eye, they don't see the fingerprints that they're going to pick up, but they know the evidence is there. And they do the process. So yeah, right now, I feel like, oh man, life is so messed. Pause, breathe, check in. Do I have evidence? Yes. Then go to the practice of firing up. I have it. I know it. I trust it. Now what is mine to do? Take a nap. Then that's what I'm going to go do.
Right.
Right. Whatever it is in that moment. Yep.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.